You look at the mess of the modern world, the endless stream of chaotic headlines, and the cultural friction, and it is natural to wonder, why was I forced to exist right now? It is a specific kind of frustration. Let's call it timeline envy. It is the assumption that if you had lived in a different era, a historical golden age, holding on to your faith and achieving a successful spiritual life would have been simple. We can test that assumption by looking at this comparison between our romanticized view of history and the actual mechanics of faith in those eras. On the left, we have the expectation. We tend to view history through a soft lens, imagining that living alongside prophets or in early righteous communities acted as a guaranteed safe haven for our own personal character. But look at the reality on the right. Those eras were not peaceful retreats. They were high-stakes environments defined by severe persecution and massive spiritual failure rates among the general population. Escaping into historical daydreams ignores a crucial truth. Every era is defined by its own specific set of challenges. To understand why you are here, we have to look at how your environment was structured. We arrive in this world confronting different forms of darkness, what the prophet referred to as dhulumat. For you, it might be the darkness of a broken family, the weight of systemic oppression, or the fallout of a personal betrayal. These aren't random accidents of biology. Within the framework of qadar, divine decree, you are placed in this specific environment because it is the exact territory where your potential is meant to be tested. Consider the generations that came before you. Your existence today might actually be the delayed response to a dua, a prayer made by an ancestor decades or even centuries ago. We see this in the lineage of enslaved Muslims in America. You have to wonder, what persecuted enslaved woman is Malcolm X, El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz an answer to? Every single person gets a highly specific turn in the grand story of the world. We arrive with the hopes of those who endured before us pinned directly to our shoulders. The darkness you find yourself in is not a mistake. Your current environment is the specific assignment you were built to address. Let's test the assumption that you would have thrived in an earlier generation. It is easy to read the Quran and assume you would have stood on the right side of every historical episode. This flowchart maps out the two diverging ways we can respond to our placement in time. On the first path, you spend your mental energy wishing you were on Nuh's ship or standing behind Musa as he faced a tyrant. The result is immediate stagnation. By living in a hypothetical past, you fail to address the actual, demanding tests standing right in front of you today. The second path is kindling the present. This requires you to face the specific, agonizing issues of your immediate family or your local society. This path leads to a specific spiritual outcome. You become the light meant to resolve that darkness, what the scholars call nuran ala nur, light upon light. The choice is between the necessary friction of your current reality or the comfortable, useless illusion of a past one. Consider the generation immediately following the prophet, the early Muslims known as the Tabi'in. Many of them expressed their own version of timeline envy. They would tell the companions how blessed they were to have lived alongside the prophet, feeling they had missed the most important era. The companions gave them a blunt reality check. They replied, "You have no idea how hard it was to support Islam in its earliest days. Do you really know that if you lived back then, you would have been Abu Bakr and not Abu Jahl?" It is easy to claim the victory in hindsight. It is entirely different to hold on to your faith under the crushing pressure of a society that is violently opposing you. Every era of history features these same archetypes, the tyrants, the trends, and the choice to stand against them. The question isn't who you would have been 3,000 years ago. The question is which character you are choosing to be today. You cannot claim you would be the hero of a hypothetical past if you are refusing to be the hero of your actual present. The practical solution to timeline envy is a concept the scholars call ibna al-waqt, becoming a child of the moment. Embracing your era allows you to do what Prophet Isa described, becoming Mubarak, or a blessing, wherever you are. You begin to act as the structural support for the vulnerable people in your immediate environment. There are 3 metrics to this audit. You accept your era, you identify the local darkness, and you act as the blessing. Fulfilling that final metric, how you treat the vulnerable ones around you, is the direct mechanism tied to receiving divine victory and sustenance. But this framework removes all of your excuses. You can no longer blame the corruption of the modern world for your individual failures. You are placed in a specific local environment. That is where your accountability lies, and that is exactly where you must act. If you refuse to do the work to be the light in your specific environment, you will eventually be subsumed by it and become a source of the darkness yourself. The verdict is clear. Wishing to be in a moment other than what has been manifested for you is a form of ignorance. Your design and your placement have an exact purpose. Your specific environment, with every single trial it holds, is the exact arena where your character is meant to be realized. Look at your immediate surroundings. Perform an audit of your family, your workplace, and your local community. Pinpoint the specific local darkness in those areas. Recognize that addressing it isn't someone else's responsibility. It is your assignment. Stop waiting for a better time in history. Your legacy depends entirely on maximizing the reality of the moment you are in right now. Subscribe for more frameworks on building an objective mindset.